first off, I mean, how was Grozerock? Must be a nice way to spend a bank holiday weekend.
Grozerock was insane. Like, I can't believe that actually happened. Like, that was like a super amazing experience for me, because the last time I went to that festival was about 5 years ago, and I had a really bad time, like, because of a lot of like sexist shit. And I had like a really difficult experience there. And I kept saying to people, I was like, I want to time travel back and tell me 5 years ago, like, mate, don't worry about it. In 5 years' time, like, you'll get to go on stage and shout about all this stuff. It's going to be okay. Like, yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. Because
I was going to say, you made it kind of clear before that you wanted to use the set to kind of highlight sexual harassment at festivals and stuff like that.
Sure.
Do you get any anger from kind of organisers when you're doing stuff like that? Because as much as obviously I'm sure festivals don't want that shit happening, at the same time they've got they also kind of want to protect the image of their product and their festival. So have you ever had any kind of negative feedback from festival organisers on that stuff?
No, we haven't. Although, like, I'd anticipated that happening, and kind of like, you know, obviously taking that into account and weighed it up a little bit. But I think because with this project, it's not aimed at any specific festivals. It's like always all festivals. I mean, we try. The goal is to make the submissions at each festival specific to that festival, just for the sake of impact. But the kind of project as a whole is just kind of generally the culture of sexual violence at festivals in general. So it would be very defensive for any festival organisers to be threatened by that.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
No one has. So.
I mean, what was the reaction like to that track? Because I know obviously you've had people submit stuff. So did it come out the way you expected with all the submissions?
Do you mean in terms of the what we did at Grozerock with the vocal submission?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, it's really early days with this project, and like our kind of call out has been pretty limited so far. So yeah, I mean, I'm amazed that we managed to get anything together in such a short space of time, and that people wanted to contribute things. And I feel like I'd only briefly listened to the submissions once before we played them, so it was like I found it quite intense to hear them in that environment, and I sort of kind of got feedback from various friends who felt like it was a powerful strategy. I think for me it's just really important to we've got a platform, like a physical platform, like a stage and a microphone, and control over what is happening on the speakers for that 30 minutes. And I think the very least we can do is give that platform to other voices, like this time in a really a totally literal way. I just see it as a massive opportunity to show how widespread this problem is.
I mean, going back to kind of the album, going back to, what was it, October, November when you released it?
November.
Yeah, one thing that stuck out to me is obviously you streamed it via The Independent a couple of days before release. Like, how is it to get kind of your debut album out onto kind of such a kind of cultural and socially kind of aware platform like The Independent?
I mean, it was just really cool that whole thing worked out, and I think because the politics of the music are really important, it's cool to be able to put it in a space that is kind of more about politics than it is to do with music or entertainment. So I feel like that was a really ideal platform for us to initially stream it from, for sure.
Yeah, and it feels like almost quite a big statement from The Independent, who ideally kind of should be a neutral. To put you guys on there is making quite a big statement on their point, in that they're kind of highlighting a band that aren't afraid to get their message over, and don't pussyfoot around.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the album itself, I was listening to it again last night, and it feels very special, and it doesn't fuck about. Like, you've got 10 tracks on there that are all smashed out in under half an hour. Is that always kind of how you wanted the album to come across, kind of like a kind of combo of uppercuts, just like bang, bang, bang?
I think it wasn't as sort of intentional as that. I think we didn't really have an idea of what the album would be like as a whole. I think with future records, we'll definitely probably think about the outcome of it a lot more. But with to record a record, let's just bash it out. And I think a lot of the tracks were written, like some of them we've been sitting on for a while, but like some of the newer ones really came together very quickly, and like some of the vocals in it are literally like improvised like during recording. So it was very like, I think the reason it's so intense is maybe because that process was so intense, like, and it was, you know, mainly written over like the winter time, and like after like various intense experiences from various band members. Like, I think we finished recording it after I'd just come back from the Refugee and Migrant Conference in Hamburg, which was like a massively eye-opening experience. So yeah, that's probably where that intensity comes from.
I suppose it makes for kind of a rawer kind of, like I say, intensity, because you kind of didn't have the time to stew on stuff, and you know, it was all kind of relevant and time, you know, emotions that were there at the time of recording that, you know, you hadn't been sitting on for kind of 6 months and made changes to and stuff like that. It was all kind of very much kind of the moment. So I know you've mentioned kind of the refugees and obviously the politicalness of your message. I mean, I kind of quite a few times struggle with interviews with someone and with bands that are so politically aware, because it kind of feels very hard, as you don't want to goad people down the kind of the rabbit hole almost of, you know, bringing up politics and stuff like that. I mean, did you find with the album that it was difficult to kind of keep it just to 10 tracks? Like, could you have literally gone down the rabbit hole and had so many different subject matters if you'd have had, you know, a bit more time or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's like, obviously we're still writing stuff, and there's a never-ending stream of shit that we could keep writing about, like, and the kind of political situation like across Europe, well, globally, how like it's changing so fast, and there's like a lot to react to, like, for sure. Like, we would just keep writing if we had all the time. Kind
of UK festival wise, you've been a little bit. There's not. You're only doing kind of 3 at the moment that you're announced on. Is that kind of a conscious choice as to kind of not burn out to kind of festival audience? Because, you know, there are bands that I've seen this year that are playing literally any festival gets announced, and that band are on, you know, X band are on the bill. So is it kind of a conscious choice to kind of avoid kind of crowds getting kind of burnt out?
I don't think we've really thought about it that much. I mean, we just really love touring on the mainland, and most of the band actually lives in Austria now, so we tend to like gig a lot more outside of the UK, and like most of our best like gigging experiences happen outside the UK. Like, you just get looked after better there. So we like, I mean, you know, like, let's not lie about our motivations here. Like, we'll go where we get fed best. I mean, it's cool. We're doing Boomtown, 2000 Trees, Rebellion. It's like a nice selection. It's the festivals that I used to go to when I was a kid, so I'm like super excited to go back.
Well, Rebellion was the kind of one that I kind of was doing it as a kind of pre-festival kind of interview for, because obviously I'm hoping to go to Rebellion, and it was one I was at last year. But I was talking about kind of one thing I did notice at Rebellion. I don't know if you've ever noticed it. You know, was it kind of, as much as you guys are a punk band, like from what I saw at Rebellion last year with some of the bands, like it feels like there was a lot of kind of sexual negativity in my eyes. Like, there was a lot. It's
going to be horrendous.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, how is it for you to play a festival like that when there are kind of bands that are all about kind of, there was bands that were kind of proper demeaning to women, and was
I think it's really important for us to go into those spaces and fuck shit up. Like, I'm not worried about being very direct, and actually we've been joking that we should probably leave after our set because we're going to piss everyone off. But like, I just find it really like frustrating that in places like Rebellion, like, it's, you know, it's a punk festival, but it's full of all these old men who are actually just mind-blowingly conservative, and like, you know, punk's meant to be like against the system or whatever, but there's people there just to reinforce all of the like homophobic, like sexist, shitty parts of it. So I think we'll like try to use those opportunities the way we can. Like, I mean, I'm really inspired by things like what War on Women are doing on Warped Tour, where they've sort of acknowledged that this is like a problematic context for them to play in, and then they're going in there and they're running workshops, and they're, you know, I think it's good to go into those spaces with a different message. Like, there's no point just like moaning about it from the outside, but not giving people the opportunity to hear a different perspective or point of view. Like, you have to go and take that feminism into those spaces, like, to give people the opportunity to change or just to be challenged. Like, if you just leave something like that there to fester, it's not going to improve.
Do you get a lot of that kind of crowd at your UK gigs? Because I'm not going to name any bands or any people, but I've been to kind of a few bands that have got female-fronted women play, and especially in the Midlands, there's a group of dudes that go that kind of take their mobile phone, like take a camera and stand literally a foot away from the lead singer and just take pictures. Like, do you get those guys, or are those guys scared off?
So we played Fuck Reading at T Chances back in September, and like obviously like people like didn't come especially to see us. It was just a festival or whatever. But a guy tried to do that to Leopa, and like one of our mates in the audience literally grabbed his phone off him and threw it on stage, and we just broke his phone and dealt with it. And we got in loads of trouble with the manager of the venue or something like that, because apparently as women we should have cried for help or something. But I mean, we tend to deal with those situations as and when they occur quite directly. So we probably, if we did get that audience, then it wouldn't, they'd be dealt with quite swiftly. But no, they don't tend to be attracted to us and our kind of music. But I still on the occasions that we do end up, because it's a festival or just like a different kind of thing, that we do end up playing to those kind of crowds. Like I don't know, like if it gets antagonistic, like it's kind of easier to deal with that overt sexism than it is to deal with ongoing, more subtle forms of sexism that still relentlessly exist within the areas of punk rock that pats itself on the back for being more progressive. So yeah, it's just different.
Are there any bands that you're looking forward to seeing at Rebellion?
So yeah, bands at Rebellion, I think there's a few cool bands playing the same day as us, like Made of Ace. I can't think off the top of my head because we're doing so many different festivals. I'm sure Made of Ace were on there. Wonk Unit, I think the Touch playing. Like, I don't think they're the same day as us though. But I think Rebellion is cool because I think Jenny at Rebellion did an interview about this maybe a year or two ago, but they're making a really big effort to get younger bands with women in, to kind of diversify the old man lineup, and I think that's really cool that they're making a really deliberate effort about that.
I'll leave it at that. I think we've touched everything. What's it, and allow you to go to the toilet.
Yeah, I'm bursting.
Thanks very much for your time. And if I see you at Rebellion, I'll